everyone. Welcome to TSP Weekly. This is your tech startup podcast for Thursday, August 14th, 2014. Today we are once again recording at the beautiful Communitech Hub. I think we have this entire building to ourselves at the moment. We're in here after hours, but glad to be able to use the space. My name is Darren Conley. I'm a local tech entrepreneur here in Kitchener-Waterloo. With me, as always, is my co-host, fellow tech entrepreneur, Stephen Campbell. How are you today, Stephen?
I'm really excited, Darren. There's something that's happened locally that I want to share with everybody.
All right.
And it has to do with our guest a little bit. There's two new coffee houses that have opened here locally.
Okay.
And this isn't an ad. I haven't been to them yet, but one is called the Adventurers Guild.
Uh-huh.
The other one's called Games on Tap.
All right.
And basically,
I sense a theme here.
Yeah, these are board game cafes. So you can go in and pay, I think it's $5, and you can play all day. And they have coffee and
it's only board games
and scones or whatever to buy.
No computer games, just board games.
Unplug. So
Right.
it's the opposite. So for the Tech Startup Podcast, this is the unplugged version because
Right.
it's back to board games.
Right. Do you have a favorite board game, Stephen?
I do. I have several, actually. Right now, the kids and I are playing Settlers.
Right, of Catan.
Yes, well,
for those who have never played it, we have to say the full name, Settlers of Catan.
Yeah. But a big fan of Axis and Allies and diplomacy, and really excited about introducing the kids to more board games. So
you sound like you're a very political board game player.
I actually played a political board game as a kid called Lie, Cheat, and Steal. So I'd like to see if they have that one still.
That sounds like the only honestly named political board game I've ever heard.
Exactly. So this isn't an ad or anything. This is not an endorsement. This is more like just an excited squeal.
Yeah.
Or if we can be a little more masculine, maybe a proud proclamation.
Sure.
I like the alliteration.
We can certainly be more masculine.
We can try, right?
I haven't introduced our guest yet, but let me introduce our guest very quickly. Our guest here is Mark. And Mark, you're going to have to tell me how to say your last name, man. Because
no problem. It's Kryshtalskyj.
Kryshtalskyj? Mm-hmm. That sounds much easier, to say out loud than to read, because it looks like it's almost all consonants here. Mark Kryshtalskyj, from the Rockstar Cafe. How are you today, Mark?
I'm excellent.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite board game?
Probably Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly.
Now, Monopoly's got 1,000 versions. Like there's a Canadian, an American, and do you have Star Wars? And
actually, my brother and I at the cottage one year, I think when we were much younger, we made our own version of Monopoly where we kind of took all our friends' cottages and stuff, and like the general store and the railroads, and
that'd be
just
cool.
made our own version of it.
Yeah, that'd be super
cool.
Like
the Canadian North College version of
a little
Monopoly,
bit of entrepreneurial spirit there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat. I think
great.
the latest I'm playing is Monopoly City, and it's got skyscrapers in it and stuff. So
you know what would be a great idea for Monopoly, and Parker Brothers or whoever owns Monopoly or Hasbro.
If you're listening, this is 20%.
If you're listening and you take my idea, I want 20% of the cut from this.
We need a wah sound effect after
we
that.
We do, I think. But they should have like a make your own Monopoly set, right? Like have all the kind of economy of it already established, but you fill in your own names of the properties and everything else. I think that would be great.
You could 3D print your own pieces.
There you go. Yeah, Maybe you could just do it all on your own. You don't even have to go through the board game company, right?
Yeah, we could make a Kitchener-Waterloo version. And wait for them to sue us. Which would be pretty quick, I'd imagine.
Sounds like fun. Well, let's dive into a little bit of tech news here, guys. We've got a few things we wanted to talk about here today. The first one is this new mobile app called Sup. And I'm guessing that this must be the latest trend in naming mobile apps. We've had Yo, we have Sup.
I'm going to make one called Wah.
I saw one called Dude the other day, which is pretty much like Yo, but you say Dude instead of Yo. But
whole new demographic available to you then. That's
right. But at least Sup has like some more functionality between something like beyond something like Yo. So this is how Sup works. It's like a video sharing app. So for instance, I want to see what you, Mark, are doing with your day right now. So I can send you a Sup request through this app. And should you choose to accept that request, then your phone would start transmitting video directly from your device to my device across the internet. So I can kind of see what you're doing as you're walking around going through your day.
Okay.
Live vicariously, through the life of an entrepreneur like yourself. And but here's the extra kind of gimmicky part of it. While I'm watching your video, I can send you instructions like turn left, turn right, stop, take a picture, take a selfie, and you're free to follow the directions or not. But it kind of turns the person who's creating the video into like a surrogate extension of the watcher somehow, right?
Sounds like a great way to leak a celebrity sex tape.
There we go.
Honestly, I didn't know.
Any of you celebrities out there who are planning to make a sex tape, we have the app for you.
Download this app now.
Oh, God.
But, I thought it was an interesting idea. And apparently, like, it's only been lately that technology has I guess Moore's Law has pushed us to the point where a live transmission of video from one mobile device to another one is, practically feasible without choppiness and cutting out and all this kind of stuff. So that's why we're kind of seeing an app like this for the first time. But I got to admit, when I first read about this, I thought it was an interesting idea. At least it made me think I'd like to try this thing out. I don't know if it would be fun just for a day or two and then I'd never use it again, or I don't know. Could you guys see yourself using something like this, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a big Snapchatter.
Right.
What's actually really interesting is I was at the Youth Marketing Strategy Conference, the first one in New York, in June, and so they were kind of talking about everything millennials, and they were saying that Snapchat is kind of the number 3 most popular app or interface among millennials now.
I just read that like in the past couple days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What were number 1 and number 2 then? Do you remember?
Facebook is one of them.
I think it's Facebook and Instagram.
These are for mobile?
Quote me on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I think you're right. Facebook and Instagram. Yeah.
But what's cool about Snapchat is it's a very kind of informal way to share funny things that you're doing with your friends.
Sure.
And, they're saying when Snapchat was first created, it was kind of meant to share like day-to-day things, but a lot of it became funny pictures of people, right? Or you just kind of... you do funny faces, but it's kind of another way to connect with your friends on a deep level over text. So I could kind of see myself using that.
So this kind of extends it into the video realm.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if you can actually save the videos. Like Snapchat, the picture disappears after a certain amount of time. I'm assuming, without having dug too much deeper into this, that once you stop transmitting the video, it's done. And unless you have maybe a separate app for capturing live video, then that's it, right? You can't go back and review it or something. But I could be wrong. I'll have to dig a little deeper into this app and find out. What about yourself, Stephen? Could you see yourself using it?
I'm just thinking about that as you guys are talking about it. I'm now, I've got a new puppy dog. He's a Woodle, Wheaten Terrier Poodle mix. His name is Bo.
Right.
At the end of the rainbow. But anyway, so my wife and I are constantly texting each other. It's like having a new child. It's all about poo right now. And pee.
Geez.
Did he, how's our carpet? What's the state of the floors? How many times do you go outside? And so now I'm sending her pictures of him. So she'll say, what are you doing right now? And I won't text her back. I'll just take a picture of him chewing on whatever or sleeping in his cage, and I'll send it to her. Yeah. So we've almost stumbled into kind of that, and we're doing it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I don't know when I would really want to take a video and send it to someone else. Maybe occasionally, like your buddy who was at that conference while we were at the only Canadian Microsoft Connect Hacker Fest this weekend, which was awesome. We should talk about it at some point.
Yeah.
You were talking to your buddy at the other event, so there where you guys could have shared some video.
That's true.
So I wonder the use cases, but as I think about it, I can develop a couple. So I think that would be neat to check out. I wonder about the longevity of it.
I have that friend you were mentioning. He was at the Canada, I can't remember the official name of the conference, but Canada Fitness Expo or something in Toronto, and it would have been cool for me to get him to walk around that expo and allow me to direct him and kind of show me some of the stuff that was going on there.
Right.
Would have been cool, right? But I'm thinking, too, of what you said about with the dog. Like, I have 2 kids under the age of 4 years old at home, and my wife regularly sends me a photo of one of our kids doing something cute in the middle of the day. And so it would be cool to kind of get her to transmit some video to me instead and check it out that way.
I wonder if those would be stored. Like, I have a video of the dog trying to get something on the table. So that's the first time he's put his paws up on the table. So it was a training moment that I missed because I got the camera out instead of telling him to get down, which is the first thing my wife said when I shared that video with her. But so that was like a saved one that I wanted to show her as opposed to a live shot, I guess, right?
Right.
So...
Well, I think maybe it's something that once you start playing with it, then you can find more uses. At the very least, I think it would be kind of fun. Said. You know, oh dear.
Yeah. There's actually there was an app. I was at Queen's Startup Summit this past February. It was kind of one of these startup weekends, and one of the winning apps, I think, was it was called Pointer or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know if they're out right now, but essentially the idea for the app is just an arrow on your screen, and it points you in the direction of your friend. So if you're at like a nightclub or a music festival and you've lost your friend, then it kind of tells you where they are and you can meet up really easily. So there might be a nice integration with this app in terms of turn right, turn left,
sending directions. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the smart shoes.
I was going to say, we talked on a previous podcast about these smart shoes where the left shoe will vibrate to tell you to turn left and the right shoe will vibrate to tell you to turn right. So maybe you can combine all three and I don't know. You don't have to make any decisions about which direction to walk in ever again because your devices will tell you.
Well, that would be funny because then when Bernie hacks your smart shoes, you can send me a video of yourself walking around in a circle. That'd be awesome.
There we go.
But I could see that. Yeah. I was like at Canada's Wonderland. So you're like, I'm here at Canada's Wonderland. I guess you say I'm in front of this ride.
Yep.
But there's so many people. So just an arrow that, that would be neat. That would be helpful, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on here, guys. Another interesting article we came across this week. Really, this article is an excuse for me to bring up the larger topic in general, but a company called Motionlead is trying to make mobile ads effective again through making them a little more interactive and a little less banner ad-ish. So I've watched, a video of some of their ads. They tend to be ads that will come up in the middle of using your app, but rather than interrupt the app with a separate pop-up screen, the content kind of appears in front of what you're already looking at. So if you're scrolling through your Twitter feed or something, let's say, you might have, a car that will jump across the screen or start driving across the bottom, or an ad for a new Samsung phone might have the phone kind of spinning up in a rotating kind of graphic animation over top of what you're looking at with your feed. And there still is the little X to close the ad if you want. I think we've seen stuff like this already on the web, right?
Right.
Kind of animations that'll pop up on top of your web page or something. But apparently now it's being done in mobile.
I wonder if they're driving to try to get targeted marketing audience, or if they're trying to get just the fat fingers that don't know where to close it, or or if it's a big mix of both.
It's a good question because they claim to have a 10% click-through rate, which is much higher than other mobile ads.
But that might be purely because it's a spinning car with no background, a transparency, and the X is not connected to it, and they just hit the
people
car.
Click by accident,
so
maybe.
It's new, and it's an interesting process. As a student and having going back to some of my classes in the last several semesters and developing mobile app ideas or different ideas through coursework, I always come up against the monetization part. As we're doing, I had a pothole idea where we were going to crowdsource potholes in Kitchener-Waterloo and fix them, and whatever idea it was, you always come up to the monetization. And I always just hate to do. It's a reality that a lot of them generate their money from ads.
Yeah.
But I always tried tooth and nail to find another way to make money because I just don't like I don't want to put ads in it.
Yeah, and
it was always a fight. If
you remember in the early days of Facebook, right, they were very adamant about having no ads, and large portions of their website still don't have ads. They only come up on certain pages and not others. But now, of course, that's where they make all their money.
Right.
They had to capitulate to making money somehow. Yeah,
and I can see it very clearly that you have to do it. Like you have to jump into that pool and play that game unless you have a great other strategy set up. But
sure,
it's real money that's being paid, and if you have enough eyes on it, then it is worth some valuable money.
Yeah. So I guess. Go ahead.
No,
sorry.
No, go, yeah.
I was just going to say. I guess the question then is, is there another way to make money on mobile besides putting ads? If it's a game, you can have in-app purchases and things like this.
Yeah, you can do subscription models,
or maybe the better question is there a better way to do advertising than what's currently being done? Because what I see here looks kind of like some of the stuff that has already been happening on the web for a while, being translated to mobile. I think there already is a lot of kind of ad blindness in the surfing experience, for sure on the web, but on mobile too. Like I know anytime an ad comes up, the first thing I do is look for the X. I don't necessarily look at the content of the ad.
Like if you're playing Bedazzled or Bejeweled or whatever, and a car commercial comes up, that's not the time to capture my attention about the new Nissan Sentra.
Right.
That's not the right headspace for me. So it's such a waste of time.
Right. I don't know, Mark. Do you think have you found a type of ad that you think is really effective at least in your mobile surfing experience, or do they always seem like an interruption to you, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, through the mobile, I think my biggest one that I use the TSN app a lot, just to keep my finger on hockey scores, baseball scores, and
sure.
It's always like Sprite or Coca-Cola or like you said, some car, and I just go for the X, right? And
right.
I think it's. There has to be a better way of doing it. I just don't think we've reached it yet.
Right.
And I think it's just being creative in, how they market it and, how they advertise. And maybe, the flash or, it isn't the right time or place for it. Maybe there's a better way.
Sure.
And maybe we're not, I'm not a marketing expert, but as you were talking about that, when you said Coke or Sprite, that might help. Like that might be effective to me, even on it's probably a subconscious level. Mm-hmm. But as I just see that Sprite and close it, I think, oh, refreshing, cold drink.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to get up and get one. The car, I don't think, maybe they're doing the long play on me that I've seen it so many times in a certain context that I think it's cool, or I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's a psychology to it, but just on general, on the surface, the ads, I don't know that they work. Although, if you're thinking about a Balls energy drink for gamer and, at the right time and place,
there's
subconscious is weak sometimes. So I can go grab a cold beverage.
I think there's two things that came to mind for me. Like one, I think it's an issue of targeted content, right? So if you're typically, I don't want to be interrupted by something that's completely irrelevant or not of interest to me. But if I got interrupted with, say, a trailer for the new Star Wars film or something, I would definitely want to see what this is all about, right?
Right.
So if we can work on kind of narrowing the targeting algorithm or however we're doing that to send me only things that are of interest to me, I would almost welcome receiving ads for things that I'm interested in, or coupons or discounts for products that I'm genuinely interested in buying. It's kind of like with Google ads, I was at one point looking to buy a new mattress. So I did a Google search for mattresses, and I went out and bought a mattress, but I still was receiving all of these targeted ads for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, no.
Telling me deals on mattresses, right?
Right.
And there's no way for me to say, like, listen, I already bought the mattress, man. I don't need to get any more of this. But if they can get it targeted. But the other thing I was going to say that has worked well for me, and I don't know if you guys have experienced this one at all, but there's a group.
Are you getting paid to shop? Is that where you're going here?
Close. No. It's a group. I think it's based out of BC, Vancouver, BC. Keep, Kiip. I might be spelling it wrong, but they do a form of advertising where it's rewards, like in-app rewards. So if I get a badge or something in my game, or I complete a level, or I do something, for me it comes up when I'm playing cribbage. I have a cribbage game on my phone. So when I have a really good hand of cribbage, occasionally I'll get this Keep reward pop up, and it's actually giving me something. So it'll say, get $5 off your Rogers phone bill. And I have to click on the thing and fill in my email address, and I'm sure I'm agreeing to receive promotional emails from them, but I'm happy to do it if they're going to give me $5 on my bill, kind of thing, right? Or it'll give me a coupon for a free Coke or something, right? There's something that they're offering me of value instead of just interrupting me to say, check out this product.
So it's gamification of your ad.
Yeah, I guess is essentially.
Yeah, and I have the same. I have a couple apps that I play that will give you 2 free gas if you watch this video. I'm playing a drag racing game or something right now that my kids downloaded, and so that's neat. All the ads though are other apps, so I don't know if it's within that same company that's made a bunch of apps, or but they're driving me to buy other apps as opposed to cars or Cokes or whatever, right? So interesting.
I think, I don't know the legal behind this, but I think there's a lot of room there for integration, whether it's, gamification, or, you wanted to integrate loyalty marketing or even targeted offers as opposed to a blatant ad, but I feel like there's a lot of room there for creativity and for overlap depending on these different strategies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, you'd have to think for these multinational companies like Coca-Cola or Nike or Toyota or whatever. It's trickier for them to give away a low-cost item, I guess. Mm-hmm. But they could always give me a Coke. Hey, if you're listening, Coca-Cola, feel free to give me a Coke through one of your ads. I'd be happy to accept it. But it's, I guess, maybe bridging that gap is part of it, the issue too, right? But all right, well, let's dive into this one last article we wanted to look at. So let me ask you guys first before I talk about this. Do either of you ride a motorcycle, or have you regularly ridden a motorcycle in the past? Mark?
Unfortunately, no.
No? Me neither, actually. Steven?
Yeah, I raced off-road motocross when I was a teenager.
Okay.
And I laid down Richard Etchell's 750 Nighthawk on Blue Forest Crescent. There, okay, I said it.
There we go. And when you say laid down, that's like biker terminology for
sort of
like you completely wiped out and
no, I didn't go over the handlebars or anything. When I lay it down, it's almost like you're just stepping off of it and you just put the bike right down on the pavement.
Oh, I see.
But we were traveling fast when that happened.
And your body ends up on the pavement.
Yep. So I slid for, 10 meters and the bike probably went 20.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And, it's like a huge sanding machine that just takes off half of your skin and the bike. So when I came back to my buddy Rich, who was standing in the driveway, my knees and my elbows were dripping blood, and he was missing half of his mirror and some stuff. So yeah, I still have the scars.
That's insane.
I don't think Rich has the bike anymore.
Well, the reason I ask is because there is a new piece of hardware that's been developed. It's a motorcycle helmet. The most high-tech motorcycle helmet, apparently, that's ever been developed. The major feature, in my opinion, about this helmet is it incorporates a rear camera on the back of the helmet, and then it has a heads-up display on the visor, which will show you a video of what's going on behind you, kind of in the bottom right corner, along with information about your current speed, as well as it can give you GPS guidance by tying in with your smartphone. It can tell you, turn left in 500 meters. Or I guess this is only in the U.S. at the moment, so maybe turn left in half a mile or whatever.
Right.
And it can also, send your phone calls to the helmet, so you can answer a call and carry on a conversation through a mic and speakers built into the helmet.
That would be hands-free, I guess. Legal or not legal there?
Say again?
Legal? What? Are you allowed to have a phone conversation as you're driving your motorcycle
without
if it's hands-free, using your hands?
I think if it's hands-free, you can.
Is that the whole legal basis of the texting? I know, but yeah, and I guess you put if you have a microphone in your car, you can just talk away. So yeah, it's the hands part.
Although apparently studies have shown that hands-free does not actually make it any safer.
Right, because you're still so distracted
aside from freeing up your hands, I guess. But
which would be important in a motorcycle situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was surprised when I read about this that something like this hadn't already been developed, to tell you the truth. It apparently has a 9-hour battery life.
Right.
And the makers of it say, we can't imagine anybody continuously riding the motorcycle for more than 9 hours, typically at least. So it should work for most people.
I can see the motorcycle manufacturers integrating some sort of recharge on it where you just keep it with the bike or, some sort of a plug, a USB. I don't know.
Right.
I really like the idea. I think it's really cool. It sounds very Tron-ish. And it just makes sense. Even though you don't have to turn your head around on a bike to look behind you, obviously you use your mirrors, but added gadgetry is always cool.
It feels a little like video gamey to me. Like to see the video, you can find video of this at the article that we've linked to here. But it feels a little bit like a motorcycle game where you can have this picture-in-picture of what's going on behind you, and you're looking out for Yoshi coming up with the green shell to whack you or whatever. But
the Molotov cocktail.
I guess for those of us who haven't ridden motorcycles, it's hard to say whether or not we would make use of a product like this, I guess.
One of the things I can actually compare it to is I did ski racing for a long time, and one of the companies developed a helmet that actually has a video camera on the front.
Right.
And so when you're going down and you're doing your trial runs, you can watch a video at the bottom and kind of get another perspective or rewatch your run again.
Yeah,
because
it's training.
Yeah, it really helps, because traditionally all the runs were videotaped kind of from the guy at the bottom of the hill, and you don't really see that racer's perspective of it.
So that's interesting too.
That is interesting, and I wonder with this one, well, first of all, if they could build a version with a front-facing camera so you could like record your trip.
Right. Or for insurance and accident purposes, like every Russian car.
Yeah, that's right.
All the videos on YouTube from the crashes and stuff.
The other thing I thought would be cool, and maybe this is part of it, and I just didn't realize it now, but to have something like a night vision or a night enhancement feature, so that when you're driving in the dark, it can kind of highlight what's going on the road a little bit better and make it easier to see what's happening. We have night vision goggles already, right? So
you could hook it up with the solar roadway panels and do the moose finder and everything.
Sure.
Could talk
those
to the
wonderful solar roadway panels. Yeah.
I wonder where they're doing.
Yeah, we'll have to check up on those guys. We talked about them on our second podcast, or third, one of the early podcasts.
Yep.
The solar roadway.
Maybe we'll do
folks.
a year in review where we go back and look at the companies we've chatted about.
Yeah, who's still around and who's not. That's right. Okay, fair enough. So I think we can give a thumbs up to the Skully smart motorcycle
helmet. Do they have
helmet.
a price point of entry?
They do. I'm going to see if I can find it here as we're talking. It was not cheap. It looks like $1,400 is what they're looking at for the Indiegogo campaign, but it could be $1,500 when they go to full retail price. So
that's a pricey helmet.
Wow. Yeah, but you're paying for, the Tron experience, I guess, right?
Yeah, and that's really, you can't put a price on that.
You can't put a price on Tron. If there's anything that we've learned on this podcast.
Yeah, and who would really try? It's a futile exercise.
That's right. Well, listen, let's talk a little bit with Mark and see what's going on with him. I know we did such a brief introduction, and we really have no idea what's going on with the Rockstar Cafe. It's a cool name.
Yeah, thanks.
It sounds exciting. It makes me feel like you're, involved in big flashy things. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Rockstar Cafe and how it came to be.
Sure. So Rockstar Cafe is really a place for students to engage in conversations with people who are changing the world.
Okay.
And really take action on the ideas that arise from those discussions.
Okay.
And ultimately, we do want to have a physical location and make it kind of a more sustainable community cafe.
Right.
But it really kind of stems from an idea that I kind of witnessed back at Harvard Business School last fall.
Okay.
I was taking a tour of the campus, and I saw one of the things I was really impressed by is outside the Spangler Center every Friday afternoon, they have kind of this social cafe where they fly in CEOs from all around the world, and it's kind of a very relaxing place, in front of the Harvard scenery for students to really unwind at the end of a week and engage in some really interesting people and some thoughtful discussion and kind of bring ideas to life. So
Sure.
I kind of saw that, was very inspired. After doing some more research too, I came up on the idea of green cafes, and at Queen's University they started in 2013 they started the Tea Room, which was Canada's first student-run cafe to produce zero consumer waste to landfill.
Wow.
And so they really use a closed-looped sourcing and decomposing process to do that. And so I kind of saw these two unique ideas and said, why can't we have this in Canada at every major university?
Sure. Wow, sounds awesome. Now, what stage of development is the Rockstar Cafe in now? You guys don't have a space yet, or you're...
No, not yet.
Okay.
It's been really interesting, especially we haven't really raised capital. The idea has developed a lot since January, but we're in the point of piloting it. So September 18th on University of Waterloo, BMH Green, we are a go for that day.
Oh, wow.
Let's go for lunch on Stephen's birthday.
That's
Awesome.
your birthday, huh?
Yeah, September 18th.
Wow.
Come, we'll have a cake for you.
1991.
Awesome.
Darren just about died over there. Okay, it wasn't 91, all right.
1991 is what? It can't be when he was born, because that's insane.
That was when we celebrated my 20th birthday.
Okay, there we go. So you go to launch on U Waterloo's campus. Is it a one-day event, or is it like you're there for good?
Yeah, so it's a one-day launch. We've been extremely fortunate to partner with some of the incubators in community, with Greenhouse, with Conrad and Velocity,
cool.
Trying to get Communitech on board as well.
Awesome.
And they've been really supportive of the whole idea. And we're kind of going to pilot it 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. We're bringing in some international speakers from New York, Dallas, and Toronto. So,
are you allowed to give away any names of those speakers, or is this still?
Yeah, I can actually. So, I'll give away the keynote. So the keynote is led by Jason Roberts, who co-founded a company called Better Block, and he's based out of Dallas, Texas. Right. And what his company does is they kind of move into abandoned or impoverished neighborhoods, and they fix them up by bringing people together.
Wow.
And so he was really inspired by his trips to Europe and the architecture he saw there. And when he came back to Dallas, he saw that they didn't really have unique spaces or anything that was very unique or built community, and brought people together over these unique spaces. So what he did was he started off with the Texas Theater in Oak Cliff, which is actually where Lee Harvey Oswald camped out after he shot JFK.
Oh, boy.
And so they fixed up that community, and soon after they open sourced the project, and it's kind of taken off in the States. And I think their first project just launched in Canada a few months ago.
So he's doing like real estate, like going in and fixing up buildings?
Yep.
Okay. Neat.
Wow. So he's the keynote at U Waterloo, and then we have a few other people coming in too.
So another lady that is speaking is Sonia Mijakovic, who's the global director at Youthful Cities, which is a company that goes around engaging youth in all the different major cities around the world and ranking social and environmental issues from a youth perspective. Okay. So then major corporations and young people in the area are kind of aware of what needs fixing, and then they are better able to address those problems.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
How did you have these connections with these long arms from Dallas? And
so Jason I met in Montreal at Startup Fest. And was very cool. And
that was the French.
You're showing off your French there, Stephen.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Sonia I met in New York at the Youth Marketing Conference. So, and that's one of the pieces of advice I have for any young person that's wanting to go out there and make a difference is step outside your comfort zone, go travel. If there's a conference happening in some other city that really aligns with what you're doing, go and meet some people, because chances are if you're a respectful person with a head on your shoulders, then people want to talk to you and hear your ideas.
Yeah, and hopefully come and help you launch your startup.
For sure.
Yeah. That's a really good advice, because Darren and I just went to this Microsoft hackathon, and it was a $20 ticket for us, and basically in our backyard. And we were really excited to be a part of it. And once we get there, we start meeting people there was a gentleman from Fort Lauderdale that had flown up and spent about $5,000 to do this event, and had bought some hardware and had bought a Connect too. And we met a guy from Iowa who was like a groupie and had followed them around to New York and to Seattle. And he had won several of them.
And we also met the guy actually who invented Gesture Tech. Essentially, and his company licensed the IP to Microsoft to build the Kinect, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. But he just happened to be hanging out at the conference the first day. Yeah. But it just to confirm, I guess, what you were saying, that getting out there, shaking hands, and being a respectful, engaged person, I think, opens so many doors, right?
Totally.
Exactly. Such a small world when you really...
Crazy.
About it,
so what would the plan be then? You have the event at University of Waterloo. If that goes well, what would the next step be?
Yeah, if that goes well, I mean, we'd want to hold kind of bi-monthly events too, just to kind of test out different things that we want to do with the model, see how many repeat customers we get, and really kind of make a strong business case for Rockstar. And I think in a year's time, we really do want to secure a physical location, because I feel that in this world where we're so technologically connected, one of the things I learned at Youth Marketing Strategy was 96% of millennials feel we spend too much time on our phones and not enough time talking to one another.
Right.
But I also truly believe that there is room for that collaboration between the tech world and this virtual environment that we find ourselves in, and also bringing it together in real life.
Right.
And if you can make that connection, which is kind of what we're trying to do as well, I think there's kind of an untapped marketplace for that. But there's also, you can make those connections online, but you can also bring it together in real life and build community.
Sure. No, that's awesome. You might... those of us who are listening very closely might hear there's some cleaning staff doing some vacuuming.
I'm just about to jump up.
Yeah.
Work some magic. Good.
Yeah, we're very happy to be using clean or soon to be cleaned facilities, I guess, here.
It's an amazing facility.
It is. It's wonderful. Now, I wanted to ask about this. I don't know what it's called. You're doing some filming. Filming of Rockstars.
Yeah.
Tell us what that's all about.
Sure. So I guess the tech component of what we're doing is we're trying to kind of just build a network of student leaders that are already making an impact in their communities, whether it's through an entrepreneurship venture or a community project or just a high impact leadership initiative.
Sure.
And reaching out. And it started through friends of friends and people we knew that were just working on cool things. But now we've started to leverage Twitter and, are starting to get more organic followers. And we're starting to get inbox from people from Western, Mac, that do want to get featured. So what we do is we kind of do a little profile that they submit to us and about, their story, how they got started, what their idea is, and how people can get involved, as well as the different ways to contact them. But then we also do this YouTube series where we kind of sit down with them and kind of take the conversation, I guess, to the in-person level.
Right. Okay. And so that's getting people to kind of tell their stories about how they're involved and what they're doing.
And that's really cool, too, because then you're kind of building this network of student leaders that really they also do want to come out to our events, too, not just to showcase what they're working on, but to also meet cool people that they might in turn bring on to one of their projects or just to meet other leaders in the community, because you never know what business opportunities arise from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, have you put any of them online yet? Is there a place we can go to see them? Or
so our website is relaunching this Sunday night. So we're hoping to have, hoping everything goes well for that.
Right.
And over the next few weeks, you'll start to see a lot more. I think we have around 15 rock stars to this point, and it's growing every week. We're actually booking a week in advance now, which is very exciting.
That's awesome. Okay. And then we can, on the website, I guess, we'll just watch for new rock stars to pop up.
For sure. Yeah.
Can you tell us what the website address is, or do you want to wait till it's relaunched?
For sure. It's going to be rockstar-cafe.ca.
Okay. Awesome. And now for people who are listening who are local, if they want to get involved in some tangible way besides just visiting the website or coming out to the launch at University of Waterloo, is there
on
a way
September
for
18th?
That's right. Is there a way for people to get involved or to support you guys somehow? Or
for sure. To be a rock star?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Rockstar application form will also be on our website, relaunching on Sunday. So, if you consider yourself a student leader, anybody that's involved or really high potential, go online, fill out our app, and somebody will get back to you very shortly.
Okay.
Also, too, if you, I think this event we're kind of doing is we don't really know how we're going to capture revenue from it yet, but I'm kind of exploring a couple different models. But
advertising?
Some interactive in-app advertising.
Yeah. But I think we'll either go the Indiegogo route in terms of crowdsourcing, but also in terms of the event, one of the ideas I was thinking of is instead of charging fixed tickets, just asking people, like, what would you pay for community? Or like, what, can you put a dollar value on that? And kind of see what happens there. So, you might learn a lot more about your market than you think. So.
Sure. Yeah, I'm having a Cafe Canadian today from Balzac's. It was $6.50, and I tipped her $1. So this is a $7.50 coffee, not a Starbucks. It's got real maple syrup in it, folks. So, let's just realize.
How does it taste? Is it good?
It's surprisingly average, actually. I don't know that I'll buy it again, but I love coffee. I'm not sure the maple syrup was. So if you opened that up to me, I would easily, there's $10 that you would throw in, just for sort of coffee and a conversation. And then if it was meaningful or powerful conversation, you could certainly go up from there.
And it would be interesting to kind of ask people that question, if it's possible to sort it this way, but ask people that question at the start of the event and then ask them again at the end of the event once they've had a chance to interact with and hear some of the keynote, the speakers and the special guests to see if that changes their
how much will you pay,
right?
And now how much was it worth to you, kind of
That's
thing.
right.
For sure.
Like there's a tech startup event that happens every year here, hosted by Communitech, called Techtoberfest. It happens in October, and I went last October. I think it cost $50 to sign up, and at the time I'm like, I don't know if this will be worth the money, but I want to get involved. I'll see what it's like. And it was such an amazing event, and I would easily pay $100 to go. Maybe I shouldn't have said that because they're going to jack up the prices now. But for for that opportunity to build community, to hear amazing, world-renowned people come and share their experiences, and to go home with some business cards in my pocket that might those people might be able to help propel my own ventures forward. It's hard to put a price tag on it when you're kind of paying for potential, but it's easy to say, like, I definitely see that this is something of value, I think.
Yeah.
Right? So
the kind of, we saw the huge opportunity, especially with in Waterloo. We got lucky. This pilot event is actually happening on the afternoon of Clubs Day and on the week after Welcome Week. So, all the first years are there. It's a very high traffic day, and we're kind of in the afternoon after lunch. So we're hoping that, being out there on the green, kind of in everybody's face, is a way for really people can see what we're about, but also too that what I found throughout my whole university experience, and I wish I started this a couple years ago, was that there's so many people working on cool ideas and cool things that are more than just clubs or associations, right? It's really high potential, high impact leadership initiatives.
Right.
And we kind of saw the opportunity of, if we can be the point place where these people get together and, spark new ideas, and, really it can be a place where you build innovation potential for sure.
Absolutely. One last thing I want to ask you about before we kind of wrap things out is just a little bit about what your own background is and how you came to start something like this.
Yeah, you keep saying we. Who's the team?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So how did you guys develop?
And where did you, did you go to school to do something like this, or is this just something that came up out of the blue? Or
to be honest, I never saw myself getting involved in entrepreneurship.
Okay.
But as I look back on it now, I kind of was always had that creative edge and was always interested in it.
Okay.
I used to manage baseball leagues and was really interested in, managing things.
Sure.
I was the commissioner of our high school ball hockey league and really enjoyed the creative aspects behind it.
Wow.
But I really stepped into this because there was one co-op term where I had the opportunity to interview 300 former interns that passed through the internship program. And my job was to kind of make it more marketable and see how we can, attract more sponsorship funding for this company. And the one thing that all the interns said is they kind of wish they had the opportunity to make an impact beyond the job description. And I think that rings true with a lot of millennials is, a lot of them are tired of being branded leaders of tomorrow, and they want to show that they can be leaders of today.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of, I saw this and I thought, there's a lot of stuff out there. Maybe I can do something with this.
And what were you studying at the time? You said you did it as a co-op program.
Yeah.
At that time. So what were you in school here?
Yep. So I have one more year of science and business at Waterloo.
Okay.
Which has really been interesting because you get to see the science world and all the advantages that lie in sustainability, but then you also get that hard business experience that you can apply to any venture.
Wow. It's
and
very
Mark,
interesting.
Are you a single founder, or do you have a co-founder, or who's the team?
Yeah, it was interesting because when I first started up, I didn't know how people went about this. So I kind of posted on the Facebook groups. I went the old Rockstar kind of way of putting posters around campus, looking for, this type of person, that type of person.
Looking for a drummer and a lead singer.
Yeah, pretty much. And, but yeah, I ended up finding people organically through Facebook groups like class of 2014, 15, 16, 17, and we're still very active in those groups.
Wow.
But also it was a way to really connect with people I didn't know. And that was a big difference between, a class project and this year meeting people that you never knew before coming together to do something amazing. So there's 5 of us on the team right now, and it's probably the most diverse student startup team in terms of everybody's ethnicities and backgrounds. I mean, we have people in arts, videography, environment and business, just really all over the map that are on board with this project.
That's very cool.
Do you have any old guys?
No, we don't, but we have one Laurier student and one Conestoga student.
All right, I'll give you that. I'm a Golden Hawk, so
yeah, cool.
That counts.
I was just going to say, I think that it's interesting you talked about connecting with people through Facebook groups, because I had never, considered that as a resource. I've always just kind of gone out to events and shaken hands with people, but I think it's really cool that you're able to leverage kind of that platform into connecting with people in real life and building a team.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, listen, we should probably wrap things up. I know the cleaning staff want to come and take care of this area that we're recording.
I've already offered 7 free meals around here. Give us extension.
Fair enough. Just once again, before we sign off, Mark, where can we find you guys online? I think you mentioned your website, but maybe just review again your website, Twitter account, anything like that.
So if you want to apply to be a student rockstar or check out our pilot event happening September 18th, 2 to 5 p.m. at University of Waterloo, head to our website, rockstar-cafe.ca.
Okay.
You can also check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Facebook and Instagram, we are /Rockstar Cafe, and on Twitter, it's at the Rockstar Cafe.
Okay, awesome. And we'll include some links on our podcast webpage.
Perfect.
To all of those places. So that's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, let's wrap things up here. We want to thank you, our listeners, for joining us on another episode of TSP Weekly. And special thanks once again to Communitech for letting us record here today and for holding off on the vacuuming until we're done.
And the wonderful Nesbitt Lounge that we've occupied tonight.
That's right.
Yep.
Beautiful place. Please feel free to send us your comments, questions, criticisms, and feedback at feedback@tspweekly.com, or please feel free to post comments on our website just underneath the episode posting. We've gotten a few things people have mentioned to us through Twitter as well, so if you feel like contacting us on Twitter, we are TSP Weekly, at TSP Weekly. I guess that's the way to say it with your Twitter handle, right? Appearing next week, we are planning to have Miss Barbara Fennessy, who is the Executive Dean of Entrepreneurship at Conestoga College, and she has a wealth of startup and entrepreneurship experience to share with us, so that should be an exciting episode. So, from myself, Darren Conley, my co-host, Mr. Stephen Campbell, and from our guest, Mark Kryshtalskyj.
Yeah, you got it.
Whew,
there's hope for you yet.
From all of us, thanks once again for joining us today, and we'll see you all next week.